I should have been overflowing with joy at finally owning the home of my dreams, but instead, I find myself dreading each weekend. The reason? My husband's parents visit every single week, and each time, I'm treated like a maid. Far from getting a break from work-related stress, I only grow more exhausted with every day off. Reaching my breaking point, I decided to invite my own parents over, hoping it would deter my in-laws from their constant visits. But when I told my husband, he erupted in anger. "Don't you dare invite your parents. If you don't like living here, you can leave." "Fine, if that's how it's going to be, I'll leave. He'll be the one to regret this decision." My name is Emma, and I've been married to Michael for 5 years. We were previously renting, so the purchase of our new home was a big milestone for us. However, it didn't escape Michael's parents. "Oh, Emma, we heard you're finally buying your own house," his mother exclaimed. "Yes, that's right. If you need any help finding places, just let us know. We're more than happy to assist," she added. "Thank you. We might start visiting some open houses soon," I responded, though the idea of their continued involvement made me uneasy. I had envisioned selecting our new home with Michael as a personal and carefully considered process, but my mother-in-law had other plans. Just yesterday, she showed up unannounced with a brochure for a plot of land that's up for sale. "Emma, what do you think about this property? It's close to the subway station and has enough space for a duplex house." A duplex house. It dawned on me that they must be planning to move in with us. That's why she's been so involved in our property search, offering suggestions like, "It would be better to live near the subway to avoid walking too much," or, "A nearby supermarket would be so convenient." I thought she was simply being helpful, but it turns out she was pushing for features she prefers, clearly with the expectation of sharing our new home. I immediately brought this up with Michael. "Michael, your mother came over this afternoon with a brochure for a plot of land. It looks like she and your father might want to live with us." "Oh yeah, she did mention something like that," he replied. "What? You heard it from your mom? Why didn't you tell me something this important?" "I thought we'd discuss it once it was more finalized." "Do you have objections, Emma?" "Yes, I do. I envisioned us living alone together. Besides, your parents are still healthy, aren't they? While I can't predict the future, I believe it's best for us to live separately for now to maintain a good relationship." "I understand how you feel, Emma," Michael said. Michael listened to my concerns and managed to convince his parents that we weren't planning to live together at this time. After hearing his reasoning, it seems his parents finally relented. I was grateful to him for handling the situation so well. "Thank you, Michael." "No problem, Emma. If your parents want to live with them, we won't force it. Instead, let's make sure my parents visit our new home frequently after we move in." Eventually, Michael and I found the perfect house and moved in. As soon as we settled, his parents came over to check out our new place. "Emma, congratulations on the move. Your house is wonderful," his mother exclaimed. It seemed she was pleased with our home. "You're always welcome to visit," I replied warmly. That evening, we all enjoyed a meal together at the dinner table. The following weekend, I suggested to Michael that we go shopping for living room decorations, but he seemed hesitant. "Can we put off the shopping for another time? Do you have plans for the weekend?" "My parents wanted to come over," I explained. "What? They just visited last week. They seem to really like this house. Remember, you said, feel free to visit anytime, right?" "Well, yes, I did say that. But could you handle dinner and entertain them a bit?" Soon after, his parents started visiting every week, and their demands grew with each visit. "Emma, it's been so hot lately, and I'm feeling drained. Something light, like noodles, would be fine for lunch. But for dinner, I'd like something hearty like steak. Also, do you know the new pastry shop near the station? It's the talk of the town, so I think it'd be perfect for dessert. Could you pick up some?" They began arriving early in the morning, giving orders, never helping with chores, and then leaving. By the second visit, they even assumed it was okay to stay overnight. "Where's the typhoon? And since your parents enjoy a good breakfast, could you have it ready for us first thing in the morning?" The demands from my in-laws kept increasing. Between managing their needs and my work fatigue, I barely had a chance to rest on weekends, which only added to my exhaustion. Reaching my breaking point, I made a heartfelt plea to my husband. "Michael, I really need your mom and dad to stop staying over every weekend. We can't just refuse them. They've made it clear they want to visit." "Well, you could set some boundaries." Look, with working on weekdays and taking care of your parents from morning till night on weekends, I'm left with no time to rest. Consider this: if we were living with them full time, it'd be every single day, not just weekends. They originally wanted to move in with us, but since you strongly opposed it, we prioritized your wishes and they agreed to back off. Compared to living together, having them over on weekends might actually be the better option. But it was becoming unbearable to continue this situation indefinitely. As I wrestled with what to do, my mother called. "Oh, Emma, how are you?" "Sorry, Mom. I haven't been in touch lately." "I'm managing, somehow." "You sound a bit down. Is everything okay?" Well, actually, I shared with my mother the difficulties I was facing with my mother-in-law's constant visits since our move. My mother expressed concern and said, "That sounds really challenging. I can imagine how overwhelming it must be with settling in and buying new things. I've been holding off on calling because I know your in-laws visit every weekend. I haven't even invited my own mother to our new house yet. Maybe if I invite her over, your in-laws might hold off on their visits for that weekend." That evening, I brought up my idea to Michael when he got home from work. "Hey, Michael, I'd like to invite my parents over this weekend. Is that okay with you?" His response was unexpected. "No, my parents have already planned to come this weekend." "But your parents have visited so many times already." "My parents haven't been over even once." "That's because your parents haven't mentioned wanting to visit. My mother has been patient, waiting for us to get settled. She's really eager to come." "Oh, really? Well, then, how about scheduling your parents for when mine aren't coming? They've waited this long, they can wait a bit longer. Isn't it odd to always prioritize your parents, who are here so often? Can't your parents wait until next week?" "You're my wife now. It's natural for us to prioritize my parents. Anyway, you should let your parents know this weekend isn't a good time." "I don't want to do that." "You should just not invite your parents. If I can't have my parents over because of that, then your parents shouldn't come to our house either. They gave you to me, so they should be prepared not to see their daughter all the time." "That's unreasonable. Why shouldn't I be able to invite my parents? Even though I'm married, isn't it natural for them to want to see their family?" Despite Michael's firm refusal, I proposed a compromise. "All right, let's skip this weekend, but from now on, let's try to alternate inviting each other's parents on a regular basis." "How about that?" That's exactly. If you're going to suggest something as troublesome as this, we might as well not invite your parents at all. Let's just end this conversation." "But we haven't resolved anything yet. I've made up my mind. I'm not letting your parents come over. If you don't like it, you can leave." No matter what I said, Michael only focused on his parents, never considering me or my own family. His refusal to discuss the matter and his insistence on his own way finally pushed me to my limit. "Fine, if you're that determined, Michael, I'll leave. And when that happens, it'll be too late for regrets." "Regrets? What would I regret if you're gone? Just remember this: I won't accept any apologies. Don't come back asking to return." Leaving behind a Michael who was laughing loudly, I went home and shared what had happened with my parents. They agreed that Michael's stance was unreasonable, with my father particularly upset. A person who can't respect their family is fundamentally flawed. "I'm disappointed in Michael. You should stay here and not go back to that house." His words reassured me that I wasn't at fault. Feeling a sense of relief, I resolved to pursue a divorce. A few months later, I received a call from Michael. "Hey, how much longer are you planning to stay away? Have you forgotten what day it is?" "This Saturday." He spoke with a tone of urgency. "Oh, right, it's the day we were supposed to host your coworkers at our new house." "Yes, exactly. We've been planning this since we moved. Remember? But isn't your mother-in-law supposed to come that day? Why don't you tell your coworkers that my parents are visiting and cancel the gathering?" "There's no way I can do that. I've invited a new boss for my department, and canceling now could impact my future at work." "I don't care. You're the one who kicked me out, remember? Is this really the time to be arguing? Stop sulking and come back. We need to start preparing for everyone's arrival or we won't be ready in time." "I'm not coming back to that house." "What? Are you really okay with putting my job at risk?" "I don't mind. I'm planning to leave you." "Leave? Are you serious?" "Yes, I've been considering it since I left the house and my parents agree with me." "Your parents too. They're as out of touch as you are." "Do whatever you want. I'll have my parents help with the preparations for hosting my coworkers. I don't need you anymore." You're going to regret this. That's what I should be saying. Goodbye. I ended the call abruptly. By now, Michael was probably frantically contacting his in-laws, scrambling to prepare for the office gathering. Since his in-laws had made themselves so comfortable, it was about time they faced some inconvenience. That problematic weekend, our home phone rang in the afternoon. When I answered, Michael's flustered voice came through. "Why is Emma answering the phone? I was trying to reach my new boss." "Why?" "Well, because this is my house." "Emma's house? Don't tell me the new boss is Emma's father." "Yes, my father used to work at Michael's company. He's been away from the main office for a few years as an advisor for a related company's new venture, but he's set to return to the main office next month and will be Michael's new boss." I knew about the internal announcement, but I couldn't reveal it until the embargo was lifted, even to Michael, my husband. I assumed he would figure it out when he saw the boss's name in the announcement, but it seems he didn't check it properly. Michael began to plead desperately. "My mother has prepared expensive ingredients and fine alcohol, but no one is coming." When I contacted my colleagues, they said there was a huge commotion at the company because I didn't invite the new boss. If the boss doesn't come, no one else will. They've been asking me to convince my father to come and clear up the misunderstanding. Michael continued. "Misunderstanding? It's not a misunderstanding. It's a fact. You said, 'Don't ever invite my parents to our house,' didn't you?" "I didn't know your father was my boss at the time." "Then the situation is different now." "That's a rather convenient excuse. I asked you repeatedly if you'd regret this, didn't I?" "Well, it's too late for regrets now. You're responsible for cleaning up your own mess." I hung up before Michael could respond. I informed my father about Michael's call, but understandably, my father had no intention of visiting. There's no need to go to the house of someone who disregards his own family. My father was even more enraged. My father is scary when he's angry. He was looking forward to using the expensive ingredients and alcohol he bought for today, but it seems all that effort was for nothing. The next day, Michael arrived at our house, looking pale and distressed. "Emma, I'm sorry for everything I've done. Let's start over. Please come back home." Instead of me, who was staring at him in shock, my father spoke up. "Start over? Do you even understand what you've done?" Michael, looking pale, knelt before my father. "Sir, I'm deeply sorry for my actions. I'm here to apologize. You've ignored my daughter for months and haven't even bothered to visit her. I didn't realize you'd be so unreliable." "That's not the issue. I've been busy with work." "Oh, really? I heard you're also working weekends." "Weekends?" "Well," Michael stuttered, "it's likely his mother was visiting him every weekend." Michael, who never did any housework, would have struggled without her help. I'm sure she was also assisting him during the weekdays, taking advantage of my absence. My father, sensing the underlying issue, said sternly, "Forget it. It seems you get along well with your parents. It looks like you rushed into marriage before you were ready to stand on your own." "That's not true. I do respect Emma's feelings and even turned down the idea of living with my parents." "Is it really natural for a couple to decide whether to live with their parents?" "You kept pressuring Emma to accept your parents and never listened to her. How does that show you're prioritizing her feelings?" "Well, and marriage means that both families become connected. Yet you invited your parents over every weekend while completely shutting us out. How could you disregard Emma's family like that?" "I didn't know you were going to be my boss. If I had known, I would have invited you before my parents." "That's exactly why I say you're self-centered. You don't understand anything. People like you should be in a leadership role. My department doesn't need someone as selfish as you." "But—" Silence. "Get out of my house now and don't ever come back." Afterward, my father advised his superior to remove Michael from his department and reassign him to a regional branch. With Michael's reputation for selfishness, no one defended him. Even his parents, who had once doted on him, couldn't follow him to a remote location. They now see him only once a year, if that. Meanwhile, I've been enjoying the comfortable life at my parents' house after finalizing my divorce with Michael. I focus on my work during the week and spend weekends with the people I love. Reflecting on my past, I appreciate my new freedom and the ability to live a normal, satisfying life. Moving forward, I want to cherish my parents and enjoy